And se me fue el avión. Sabrosura pa' ti que. Hello everyone, it's Pam. And this intro is going to be really short porque this is the first live episode we ever did with Ashely Stoyanov Ojeda. And I am delighted to just dive right into it because why not? If you are curious about hearing Ashley's story, she was actually episode 264. And we'll have that link to that episode in the show notes where you can really explore further into her story and additional things that you may be curious about. Because this one is just a little glimpse of what the live episode was. Because we want you to come to live episodes, there's so many things that are not in the video and we try to capture as much as possible. And so I hope you get a little probadita, es un taste of what this incredible experience was. Y bueno, sin más, here's the conversation. Okay, we're recording now. Official live interview. Sabrosura pa' ti que. So Ashley, welcome to Café con Pam.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you.
And live.
With público. This is weird.
That means I had to get dressed today.
I know. I had to get dressed from the bottom down. I normally get dressed from the middle up, and now it's like I have to push this on. But thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about what you do, where you're coming from.
Sure. So I actually came from Portland, Oregon. I am from New York City, though. I grew up in Queens. I'm a Queens girl. Been living in the Pacific Northwest for a while now. Just bought a home out there. During the day, I am an author of Jefa in Training. Maybe you've seen the book out there in the world. It's been out for a couple of years now. I'm also a multicultural business strategist. So I work with primarily Latina entrepreneurs and thought leaders to help them grow their businesses, now write books. I have an author mastermind that's going to be starting soon. So pretty exciting stuff. And I just feel super lucky to do everything that I do and work with these amazing jefas.
Yes, it's so exciting. So tell us about the book. So it's been 2 years.
Yes, it has.
How did your life change from the moment you decided to write it?
Oh man.
To now.
I remember the moment that I signed my book deal, and I was so confident signing that piece of paper. And then the moment I signed, I had a full-on panic attack. I was just like, oh my God, what did I just do? Can I actually write a book? And I think writing a book was always on my bucket list. How, like you said, like your childhood self like wanted to be on stages and wanted to be talking to people and having these conversations. Like my dream was to always write a book. About what, I don't think I ever really knew. But writing a book was one of those things that I always saw myself doing. And so the fact that it's done and that it's out there and that every day, even though it's been out for 2 years, people are still tagging me, letting me know how the book has impacted their lives. Like, it's just, now I'm going to start crying. I'm like, it's crazy. And I think for me personally, like in terms of personal development, it's just validated so much of like the mission that I've been on my whole life. Just like everything has come together.
Who wants to write a book? Yeah. What? I think all of the hands need to go. Libelo likes this because we want more representation of us, of our names.
And we really need it. We really need it. So there's a part of the book proposal process, if you all don't know. So to write a book, a lot of the times you need to have a book proposal, which is essentially like a business plan for your book. Think about it that way. And part of the book proposal is to like find comps, like books that are kind of like similar to yours, similar in topic, audience, places, books that you would find your book next to on the shelf of a bookstore. And doing the comps for my book and like some of my clients' books right now are like, they're impossible. They're impossible to find. And so there's a huge gap in the market for more diverse voices. for me, I think particularly in like professional or personal development, there's a huge, huge, huge need for it right now. And it is still hard. I just spoke to like several agents and people who have been in the publishing industry for a long time. 76% of the publishing industry is still white. So even
76.
though, yeah, 76. And they're old too. So it's not like, it's a bunch of like millennial white people who understand that there might be a need for more diverse voices out there, but they're all old. So in writing books for, our community, we kind of might face some more barriers than we would hope to. And someone told me that recently because I'm working on pitching my next book right now, which will still be a business book, more about creative business strategy that diverse entrepreneurs are using because we don't really have many other options due to lack of resources and things like that. And someone who's been in the publishing industry for the last 20 years told me, you know what you're up against, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, do you still want to do it? And I'm like, that makes me want to do it more.
For sure.
So I hope that inspires some of you to like start your author journey because we really do. We need it.
We absolutely need it. I think the more Black and brown authors we have, the less the need for only placing us during Hispanic Heritage Month or Black History Month. Because we're just gonna be there all the time. Like there doesn't have to be a shelf that only exists when it's like the time to recognize us. It's gonna be all the time.
Yep.
So who wants to write a book now?
All those things better
Everyone has
go.
a story to tell. So one of the things that you talked about, which, I love talking about deep stuff. So when you signed the book deal and you said you had a full-blown panic attack, let's talk about that.
Oh, boy.
Because many times, all of us are the firsts. And we walk into places and there's nobody that looks like us. And we're the first in our family to do the thing, to get a degree, to start a business, to do whatever. And so we don't have a lot of models where we can like ask or go to or even just be like, well, this is what they did, I'm gonna do this. So what tools did you use?
So thankfully I started in the music industry for those of you who don't know. And so being a singer-songwriter and just in that industry made me the master of the cold pitch. And so I was not afraid at that point in time to just email a stranger and be like, hey, I'm doing this thing, can you help me? And so that's what I ended up doing. I didn't know I only knew one other author at the time, and she was kind of a big deal. It was Claire Wasserman, the author of Ladies Get Paid and the founder of that whole movement. And I had only met her a handful of times in person because I had gone to her events, and she knew me, on the internet. And I just messaged her on Instagram one day and I said, hey, Claire, so I got a book deal. I'm wondering if you have any advice for me because I'm really freaking out. And thank God she answered me almost immediately. And she was just like, when do you want to get on a call? And I was like, oh my God, thank God. And so shout out to Claire because she really, really, really helped me a lot along the process in terms of, how to get through writer's block, how to get ideas out on the page, and how to take time away so you can process things, and also what to do about next steps. And it was like a really, really huge help to have that. And I felt like the things that I really needed while I was writing the book are things that I'm trying to create now for other aspiring authors, because it really is, it's a journey. It's a journey. Writing the book probably was one of the times that I've doubted myself the most. And I've never considered myself a perfectionist until I was writing the book.
And I've interviewed so many authors, and the pre-sale is a big deal. Because when you pre-sell, it's kind of like proving to the publisher that people want to buy your thing. And so what I do when there's pre-sales, I buy 3 to 5 books, and then I give them away to people, or I use them as giveaways.
Thank you for your service, Pam.
And so it's important. And I don't think people talk about it, because I see, anytime I interview Latino authors or Black and brown authors, I'm like, can we talk about the pre-sale? And they're like, oh yeah, the pre-sale. And I'm like, this is the thing that you need to stress the most.
And I mean, I think the truth is that if authors don't know to advocate for a pre-order period with their publisher, the publishers, depending on the size of them and like the status of the author, like they won't push for it either.
Right.
So like we really have to be our own best advocates if we don't, especially if we don't have agents that whose job it is to be our best advocates. To be able to say, hey, like we want, at least 6 weeks of pre-orders so that we can really push them. We need your support in creating like freebies or whatever, right? To like incentivize people to pre-order. We need to be the people that are doing that, because the publishers, like, they won't be the ones pushing for us.
Let's talk about calladita culture.
Okay.
So you grew up with a Mexican mom.
I did. Really did.
And so how have you noticed that calladita culture has affected your journey?
So I'll tell you a little bit about my mom. I love my mom. I love my mom so much. And she met my dad, who is first generation French American, while they were vacationing in Puerto Vallarta. And
Long story.
yes, it is. They didn't really know each other that well when they got married. Like my dad visited her in Mexico a few times. They wrote each other letters for like a year, and then my dad went to Mexico for the third time, and he was like, hey, this is getting expensive, so we got to get married because I can't keep coming here. And I imagine he asked her nicer than that, right? But then, she marries my dad. She moves to New York. She had never really been there before. She didn't really speak English. She didn't know anyone out there. So she really left everything. And my mom was a super, super successful accountant in Mexico when she left. She worked for the government. She had her master's, like super, super accomplished. And so she moved to the States. She had my brother and I. And then when she wanted to start working again, she learned that her degree was not valid in the States, that she would have to go back to school, do all this training again. Obviously, a lot of things have changed in accounting and bookkeeping, computers, technology, this, and that. She had to learn basically everything over again. And my parents couldn't afford to put her through school. Like there were so many barriers, right? She didn't have anyone to take care of us. Like it was just, so she decided to stay home and take care of my brother and I, but she still had to work. So she ended up getting a job as a coat check, which is a seasonal job in New York, at a restaurant in Manhattan. And she had been doing that for the last 25 years. And up until a year ago, she only worked for tips.
Wow.
She only worked for tips. And I fought her so much. So that was actually my first job as well. She took me to work with her when I was 15 years old. I started working with her in the coat check room. And I would see the way that people would treat her. And like my mom is like, she's brown. I'm obviously very white. And I would see like people pass by her like she was like furniture. Like she's very welcoming, and she would always be like, hi, how are you, greeting people at the door. And I would see the way that they would walk past her or instead talk to me.
Wow.
And I would hear the things that they would say about her, and they didn't know that she was my mom, so I heard everything. And then one day I finally was just like, hey, that's my mom. They'd be like, oh my God, really? Like, we didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, that's my mom. You got to watch out what you're saying, because I understand everything. She might not, or it might go over her head, because that's what happens. And, I think watching her not say anything and not stand up for herself because she was afraid of losing her job. She was always afraid of getting deported, but I was like, Mom, they can't. You have a green card. Like, I think you're probably safe. And even after she became a citizen, she was scared to say anything. And I was like, Mom, you can go get another job. But she has always been too scared or found, other reasons as to why she didn't want to look. Her English, her age, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think watching her go through all that made me angry and kind of just fueled my journey into like, no, I have to be a leader. Like she used to tell me, like, tienes que ser líder, blah, 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 blah. And I had to just do that for myself so that I could help her. And I get emotional when I'm talking about this because now, like, thanks to my business and Jefa training and everything that has happened, I don't know how many of you know, I host Jefa training retreats also to Mexico. And we'll be in our 3rd year now. And for the first year, I actually hired my mom to work with me in my business. And it's been a journey for all of us.
I know. I understand.
Wow, guys, let me tell you. But it's going great. She's really, really good at her job. She's really, really good at her job. I did threaten her job the other day. She'll like forget about our meetings. I'll be like, Mom, we're supposed to have a meeting right now. Ah, sí, pero estoy en calls. And I'm like,
The sale is more important.
es que tengo calls cash.
Can't let those run out.
I'm like, but we're supposed to talk about the budget today. Okay, te hablo al rato. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, outside of the Coles thing, like she's doing great. She's doing real good. I'm really proud of her.
I love that. So what's next for you? When's the next book?
Oh, good question, Pam. Muy buena pregunta. So I'm actually in the process of, I'm literally like maybe like 1 day away from finishing my book proposal. I just got a bunch of edits on it from a few different people. And so now I'm looking for an agent in case any of you agents are listening, want to take on a fantastic business book. I got you. Long-term partnership because I think I have a lot of other books in me for sure. So I am, yeah, once I get an agent and then hopefully we can sell this next book so I can get to actually doing the work.
Are you going to write it in 6 months?
Probably not going to do it in 6 months this time. I think this next one will probably, because of the book, I think it's going to require a lot more research this time around and talking to a lot more people. I want at least a year to write this next one. And
sounds more.
I mean, also
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be working with a little bit of an advance too, so I don't have to take on as many clients. But I'm manifesting that
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
And then, yeah, so I have my Jefa Training membership community. We're an amazing community of Latina entrepreneurs in a variety of different industries. And we have like expert workshops. I teach workshops as well, open office hours, group brainstorming sessions, and it's really, really, really fun. I do have a retreat coming up this year for Dia de Muertos. We're going to be, oh, you're getting the first look at this. I haven't.
It happens like Café con Pam all the
I
time.
haven't told anybody.
So, thank you so much, Ashley. I'm going to open it up for questions. Okay. Who would like to ask a question? Okay, listeners and viewers, no sé, ¿cómo te digo en YouTube? Pues también eres un listener. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. This is a quick one again because the live shows are meant to be experienced in person. And stay tuned as we are planning the next two that we'll be hosting this year. One is going to be in June, and the other one is going to be in October. And we have amazing guests lined up. They're both going to be in San Diego. Eventually, we're going to go to different cities, but there's so much goodness in San Diego. And so, if you are here in San Diego, if you're in LA, if you're even in Phoenix, Yuma, you can drive to come see us. We would love that. So you get to experience what a live episode of Café con Pam is. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful here we are. We did it. Episode 1 of Café con Pam live. And this was so fun. It was so fun to plan. It was so fun to have the first conversation with Ashley and be like, "What do you think?" And her be like, "Okay, let's go." So stay tuned. Definitely check out Ashley in all of the places and spaces. Everything will be linked right below. Don't forget to subscribe, really important. Subscribe, like, comment, share. We are growing this channel, and so we just need more people to see it. And subscribing helps a ton. Sharing and commenting also helps a lot. So if you think that this is something that your audience, that your friends, your tias, your primas, whoever will enjoy it, please do share it with them, as it is so fun to create. And we just need more eyes to see this content, to hear our stories, to see us on screens. Let's stay connected at Cafe Con Pan Podcast in all of the places and spaces. Of course, YouTube is a really important one. And listeners, como siempre, stay shining. Sabrosura pa' ti que